welcome to ADRA Asia's podcast, While on Earth.
Happy, efficient, and productive.
I'm very passionate about young people.
Currently leading the disaster risk management unit department.
Overnight, it's a long process.
Hello everyone, welcome to the podcast, While on Earth, managed by ADRA Asia. Today we have with me in the studio, Elvis. Elvis, who are you?
Thank you, Prabhok. My name is Elvis Walemba. I come from Uganda, and I've been in Asia, or the ADRA Asia region now for 5 years, working in ADRA Thailand. Before coming to Asia, I worked in South Sudan. I worked there for 8 years within the humanitarian sector, and before that, other places doing other things.
So Elvis, tell us, what are you passionate about?
I would say that I'm passionate about helping and uplifting people.
Okay.
This can be in various forms, but I think that the basic need in society is to see that others can receive some help when they're down. It could be momentarily, it could be in a long term. And I find that this has drawn me into the place where I am today, working within ADRA, specifically in the Asia region, where we have a number of people who are faced with a number of difficulties and challenges. So the passion that I have is what keeps me going from day to day. I use this passion within my personal life as well as within my professional life.
What do you think inspired you to go down this road?
I think those who know me would know that I've always been wanting to help people from the very beginning. From a child, I've always been one of those who's wanting to help, going out and helping. But then with time, as I've matured, as I've grown, I've realized that there are many who are suffering. And from this suffering, there's something that each of us has a responsibility, to do. So the question I ask myself is, what can I do within my capacity to make it a little easier for someone else, so that they can see life in a different lens and have a difference within their lives.
How do you actually fulfill that personal mission through the job that you do right now in ADRA Thailand?
ADRA itself, as an organization that is built around the purpose of serving people, as we say, serving humanity so that they may live as God intended. Now, what does that mean? Others might say, well, it was intended that people suffer. It was intended that some would prosper and others would not. But I see it differently. That's not what the initial intention was. That is just a circumstance that we find ourselves in. So how do I translate my passion into that is I use the mechanism that ADRA has set up within the programs department, which I happen to work in designing programs that respond to the individual needs, trying to go to the grassroots, identifying what they feel are their concerns, their needs, as opposed to saying, well, you're hungry, so I'll give you food. They might feel that it's not the food that I want, but it's an opportunity to get a skill that can then equip me to provide for my family. So it is using this to go out and listen to the people, hear what they have to say, their concerns, and try to respond to them. And by so doing, it's done in a way that they feel my voice is heard, but also they receive the support that they need. And I think with this approach, the way that ADRA's been doing it is more sustainable. It's not a continuous food basket that you're giving out, but it is a skill, an ability that they get that they can use for life.
I imagine you started more at the field level with community work, and now you are the programs director. Do you sometimes feel that you sometimes get disconnected with the field situation, being now the programs director as opposed to maybe a field officer?
You can sometimes get drowned with the work that comes with the department itself.
Maybe the administrative work?
Yes, but I try to have a balance. So I spend time in the office, but I also spend time in the field. I try to reconnect with the people at the community level, at the field level. as far as possible, during trainings, during monitoring visits, going and listening to the voices, hearing what they have to say. And then I use this to go back and see how to continue to improve on the programs that we do. I also do take part in a number of forums, regionally and internationally, and hear the voices from different angles, and then think of it in my local context, getting the global perspective, the regional perspective, but then applying it in the local perspective, and remembering it is that individual who's at the grassroots that we're all talking about at various levels. How can I translate this into something that is meaningful to them? So with that, I think it does bring about a balance of the administrative work, as well as still remaining in touch with the people at the grassroots.
Since I have been working with you, I know you're passionate about the topic of statelessness. Do you want to take a few minutes and share a little bit about that to our viewers?
The Asia region, unfortunately, is one which is, if you're looking at any indicators in terms of the number of refugees, we have, as a single region, the highest. If you're looking at issues to deal with trafficking, we unfortunately also have among the highest in the world. When we talk of refugees, we typically think about the person who's running, fleeing from their home country in a boat going to Europe. Or in our context here in Asia, because of the war that we have, the conflict that we have rather, within Myanmar, for instance, which has seen to over 2 million people being displaced. Those are the refugees we think about. But refugees are those traditional refugees, but we also have internally displaced people classified as refugees. We have asylum seekers, and we also have stateless. Now, the stateless people are basically individuals who have been left out from any census data within a country. Where they are natives, they are indigenous to the land, but somehow they've been left out. And within this region, again, we have a significant number. Thailand alone is ranked among the top 7 globally.
Okay.
With around 500,000 stateless people living in Thailand. Those are those that are registered and known. So there is a global campaign, what we call the I Belong campaign, which has just ended. And we're launching another campaign, or rather, the United Nations High Commission for Refugees is launching another global campaign. At the regional level, we've decided, as ADRA and as ADRA Thailand, taking the lead for the network on this, to join the coalition that is focusing on dignified citizenship, making sure that the stateless are treated with respect and dignity and given that identity that they so desire. So there is a lot to be done. Statelessness is not only limited to Thailand. We have them, the largest population among the Rohingya. We have them in Vietnam, unfortunately, in Laos, in the Philippines, even in my home country, which to me was a shock. But the fact is that stateless people do not have access to an education. They have no legal identity. They have no legal documentation. They don't have access to healthcare. Education, healthcare, social services, which then means that if they're marginalized people, they are the marginalized among the marginalized.
Among our viewers could be individuals, youth, who are not necessarily attached to an NGO, to a government, or to ADRA, right? Do you have any advice to them on how they could actually, even without much finances, how they could actually make a change in their community?
A change always begins with the individual. So I would say to the young viewers, to those who think that they cannot make a difference, money is important, but it's not the most important thing. It is using your skill, your ability, that which you have at your disposal, and trying to see how you can help people along the way. It is educating yourself about some of the social injustices, some of the social inequalities that are within, around you, and seeing how can I translate this into something that is meaningful to the impacted person. What can I do within my neighborhood, within my household, that will make a difference? So by getting enlightened or more aware of the situations, you see things differently. You can speak up for a person who is being marginalized, being mistreated, or treated unfairly, unequally. Taking a stand. We talk about trafficking sometimes, and we say that trafficking is now the modern day slavery. People are conned, cheated, duped into situations that they find that they are forced into slavery, they're trafficked into doing all sorts of things. And just being enlightened, especially among the youth, because they're looking for an opportunity, they're looking for, as we would call, greener pastures. And in this process of lack of that enlightenment, that lack of knowledge, they could find themselves in that situation. So enlighten yourself, get more knowledge on the situations around, and make the simple changes within your own community, starting with yourself, is what I would say.
Thank you, Elvis. My last question.
Okay.
If you had a superpower, what would it be and how would you use it?
These superpowers, sometimes you think of flying, you think about the strength that you could have. But I think that when we look at many of the injustices that we have around us today, they are largely as a result of conflict. Conflict for resources, for land, for minerals, for just daily survival. So I think my superpower would be dealing with those conflicts. How can you dissipate those conflicts, try to mitigate them if I could? But yeah, I think that would be my superpower. How would I be able to deal with those conflicts? It could be a mind game. It could be reallocating resources, whatever it is, but just trying to address the issues of the resources that are the root cause for many of the conflicts that we have.
Thank you very much for being part of the show. Thank you for the work that you do. All the best.
Till next time.
Until next time. Thank you everyone for joining in. Meet you through our next episode. Goodbye.